There was a woman who lived in a small house in the suburbs of a big city. She wasn't married and lived alone, with only her big dog to keep her company. The dog was a Doberman. One evening, the woman came home from work and found her dog choking on something. It was lying on the living room floor and gasping for air. The woman dropped her purse and tried to clear her dog's throat, but she had no luck. Concerned about the animal's welfare, she immediately loaded her pet into the car and drove him to the nearest vet's office. The vet examined the Doberman right away and said he would probably have to operate in order to remove the obstruction in the dog's windpipe. He told the woman to go home and he'd call her later to let her know how things went. Meanwhile, the dog was still gasping for air and growing weaker by the minute. The flustered woman went straight home. As she was close to the front door behind her, she got a call on her cell phone. It was the vet, and something seemed to be seriously wrong. "Listen carefully," he said in an urgent tone. "You need to get out of the house right now. Go to your neighbor's place and wait for the police to arrive. I've already called them. Go now." Shocked and frightened, the woman wasted no time and ran straight out the front door. A few minutes later, a police car arrived with its siren blaring. The policemen got out and explained that they had to search the house. They entered through the front door with their guns drawn. The woman was speechless. She had no idea what was happening. She called the vet and asked him what was going on. "I managed to clear the obstruction in your dog's throat," he said. "When I found out what he was choking on, I called the police. Your dog was choking on 3 human fingers." After the police searched the place, they found a masked man in the woman's bedroom closet. He was armed with a knife and cowering in pain, clutching his right hand. The dog had bitten off 3 of his fingers. One night, a middle-aged woman was sitting at home reading the newspaper. Her husband worked nights, which meant that she was often alone in the house. It was getting late and she was about to go to bed when she heard a strange noise outside. It sounded like a crying baby and seemed to be coming from the bushes outside her front door. She thought it was very weird, but was tempted to go out and investigate. Just then, her dog jumped to its feet and began barking and growling at the door. The woman got a strange and uneasy feeling. She stopped in her tracks and decided to call the police instead. When she told them she had heard the sound of a crying baby, the police said, "We'll be right over. Whatever you do, do not open your door." The lady hung up the phone, and minutes later she heard the sound of sirens as 2 police cars pulled into her driveway. One policeman banged on her door while the other searched the bushes outside her house. The woman opened her front door and let the policeman in. He was holding a doll in his arms, and she noticed that it had a tape recorder in its belly. The policeman pressed play on the tape recorder and they both heard the sound of a baby crying. He explained that there was a serial killer on the loose who was targeting women who were alone at night. He was using a cunning trick to fool the woman into opening their front doors and coming outside. He would hide in the bushes and play a tape of a baby crying. The recording of the baby's cries would make the woman think there was a child in need of help and they would come out of their homes. While they were looking for the source of the cries, the killer would emerge from the bushes and murder them. He said that in the past few days they had received several calls from women saying that they heard a crying baby outside their homes when they were alone at night. The serial killer had already murdered 2 women in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and if it hadn't been for her dog warning her of the danger, she might have become his next victim. There was a middle-aged woman who was very fat and desperately wanted to lose weight. She had tried all sorts of fad diets, but none of them seemed to work. Exercise was out of the question because she was just too lazy and she lacked the willpower to force herself to eat less. One day she was leafing through a magazine when she came across an advertisement for diet pills. "Guaranteed weight loss in just 2 weeks," said the ad. The company was selling the diet pills over the internet, so the woman decided to order a month's supply. A few days later, she received a package in the mail. When she opened it, she was surprised to see that it only contained 12 large pills. The instructions said that she should take 1 pill per month with a glass of water, and afterwards she should avoid eating spicy food or drinking alcohol. The woman popped the diet pill into her mouth and swallowed it down. A few days later, she noticed that her appetite had completely disappeared. She didn't feel hungry at all, and even though she didn't do any exercise, she was beginning to shed the pounds. As the days went on, she began quickly losing more and more weight. Within no time, she was admiring her slim new body in the mirror. The change was stunning. She had gone from a pear shape to an hourglass figure in no time at all. Unfortunately, the diet pills proved to be more effective than she had expected. Even though she was down to her target weight, she continued to get thinner and thinner. Soon, she was feeling tired and weak, and she had sharp abdominal pains. The pain finally became so intense that she was forced to go to the hospital. A doctor examined her and became alarmed. After taking an x-ray of her stomach, he asked her if she'd eaten anything strange lately. "No," replied the woman. "I've barely eaten anything at all since taking my new diet pills." The doctor asked to see the bottle of pills. He broke 1 capsule open and brought the contents down to the laboratory to be analyzed. When he returned, he had some bad news for the woman. The diet pills contained the eggs of a tapeworm. A few years ago, there was a middle-aged woman who was very vain and would always wear her hair up in a big bun. She was very proud of her hairdo and thought she was the most fashionable of all her friends. She had no idea that her hairstyle had gone out of fashion years before. The woman was very lazy and didn't like having to spend time cleaning and styling her hair. Instead, she just left her hair as it was and never took it down at all. In fact, she never even bothered to wash it. Whenever she took a shower, she would wear a shower cap to make sure the water didn't mess up her hairstyle. At night, she would sleep with a towel wrapped around her hair to make sure nothing moved out of place. After a while, her hair began to smell. To mask the odor, she just put hairspray on it. When her scalp started to feel itchy, she put more hairspray on it. Even though her head itched like crazy, all she did was apply more hairspray. One morning, when she didn't come down for breakfast, her husband went up to the bedroom to wake her up. To his horror, he discovered that his wife had died during the night. At first, the police thought she must have had a heart attack in her sleep because there wasn't a mark on her body. However, when the coroner was conducting an autopsy, he couldn't figure out what had killed her. Then, he examined her hair and found something horrendous. A black widow spider had made its nest in her hair and laid eggs. When the baby spiders hatched, they had bitten through her skull and eaten into her brain. If you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. If you'd like to, you can follow me at Twitter. The handle is @FuzzyPantaloons, and I'll see you all next time.